The Galactic Empire unveiled its crown jewel, a planet killer 5 centuries in the making. Somewhere, on a blue planet, a human stirred his coffee, unimpressed. The Galactic Empire was celebrating. 5 centuries of engineering, 1,000,000,000,000 credits of resources, and the collective genius of 1,000 worlds had birthed their ultimate symbol of dominance. The Obsidian Crown, a planet killer the size of a small moon. Inside the colossal war hall aboard the Imperial flagship, alien dignitaries floated, slithered, and strutted with pomp. Hollow projectors displayed the Obsidian Crown's destructive capabilities, complete with dramatized animations of planets being effortlessly erased. The Empire's High Admiral, a skeletal being with obsidian-like armor, addressed the assembly with the kind of arrogance only 500 years of unchecked supremacy could breed. And thus, the Admiral boomed, we have forged the final nail in the coffin of resistance. Earth shall be the first to witness true galactic order. A polite clap echoed from the far end of the hall. Impressive light show, said Elias Cade, the human ambassador, lounging casually with a cup of coffee. He was unarmed, unarmored, wearing a simple Earth-made suit, in stark contrast to the armored warlords around him. His smile was warm. His eyes, however, watched like a surgeon preparing for an incision. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. Ambassador Cade, your species was invited out of courtesy. Watch quietly. Oh, I am watching, Elias said, sipping. Been watching for centuries, actually. The statement went unnoticed in the sea of alien smugness. An insectoid alien, shimmering with emerald hues, approached him. Human, do you understand the grandeur of this moment? You stand before the Obsidian Crown, a weapon your species couldn't even dream of replicating. Elias nodded, friendly. True. We couldn't. Too busy inventing things like wireless earbuds and reality TV. You win. The insectoid sneered, turning away. Elias checked his watch. Not for the time, for the countdown. Across the galaxy, in a hidden command center beneath Nevada desert sands, a human operative, codenamed Glitch, waited with fingers hovering over a terminal. Lines of alien code scrolled rapidly. Glitch didn't look like a cyber warfare expert. He looked like a bored college student, chewing gum, and playing a mobile game with one hand while hacking a galaxy-ending superweapon with the other. Back in the Imperial War Hall, the Obsidian Crown's live firing sequence was initiated. Red glyphs danced across the ceiling as alien audiences roared approval. A targeting hologram zeroed in on Earth. In 30 seconds, the planet would be vaporized. Elias stood up, brushing imaginary dust off his suit. Final words, human? The Admiral mocked. Elias pondered. Just curious, does this model come with a warranty? A ripple of laughter cascaded among the Empire's brass. To them, humans were amusing primitives. Fleas with spaceships. The countdown reached 10. Elias raised his coffee cup in a toast. To the Galactic Empire. May your systems run as smoothly as your egos. Glitch's fingers danced. At precisely 8 seconds before firing, the Obsidian Crown systems convulsed. The hologram targeting Earth glitched, and promptly exploded into a mess of 8-bit human memes. On the main screen, an obnoxious Earth meme flashed. System error. Humanity says nice try. Panic rippled through the hall. What is this? The Admiral roared. Technicians scrambled, tails and tendrils flailing, as control panels sparked. The firing mechanism locked in a loop, weapons cycling uselessly. Another message popped up. Rebooting planet killer. ETA. Never. Elias took another sip. 5 centuries is a long time. We humans can binge entire cultures in a weekend. You should have seen this coming. The emerald insectoid was the first to recover from shock. Impossible. You primitive datasmiths cannot breach Imperial encryption. Elias shrugged. Maybe don't buy your firewalls from vendors who play poker with human interns. The Empire's supreme engineers, silicon-based lifeforms revered across the stars, frantically tore into code pathways. Nothing worked. The Obsidian Crown had become an expensive, oversized light show. The Admiral bellowed, "Shut it down. Purge the human virus." Elias stepped closer. His tone, still friendly, now carried an edge sharp enough to slice titanium. "Virus? Oh no, Admiral. We're not a virus. We're the system update you never wanted." An ancient alien sage, robed in starlight, whispered, "The apex predators. They always smile first." One by one, alien species began connecting the dots. Humanity had been too quiet, too helpful, too eager to trade tech manuals, entertainment media, and innocent-looking gadgets. 1,000 small handshakes that now felt like nooses tightening. "Ambassador Cade," the Admiral hissed, "is this an act of war?" "War." Elias echoed, pretending to ponder. "No, no. Humanity isn't declaring war. We're diagnosing arrogance. Think of it as a service call." The Obsidian Crown's internal lights flickered. Every screen now displayed Earth's flag, stylized with cheeky animations of it waving over the Empire's symbol. Galactic pride crumbled as engineers realized their systems were no longer their own. Elias walked towards the central podium. Each step echoed like a countdown, not for the planet killer, but for the Empire's illusion of control. "You see," Elias continued, addressing the hall, "the universe thinks of us as the quaint species that still watches cooking shows and argues over pineapple on pizza. You underestimate how deadly curiosity becomes when combined with spite and free Wi-Fi." The Admiral lunged forward. Security drones activated. Elias smiled wider. Before a single drone could fire, their power cores blinked out. A gentle chime played. Glitch had left a parting message. "Oops. Did I do that?" Elias now stood at the heart of the Empire's war room, unarmed, completely unharmed, and utterly in control. He clasped his hands behind his back. "For 5 centuries, you built a monument to fear," he said softly. "We built a backdoor. Difference is, ours only took a few minutes of human attention span." Silence. Heavy. Palpable. Elias let it hang. The weight of humiliation was crushing the room faster than any weapon could. He tilted his head, giving a gentle, almost sympathetic smile. "Now, if you'd like to avoid turning this into a full galactic training session on How Not to Underestimate Humans 101, I suggest we sit down and chat." We brought donuts. The hall's grandeur now felt like a tomb. In a distant star system, small rebel factions received encrypted human transmissions, sparking fires of insurrection. But that was a story for later. For now, in this room, there were only 2 kinds of beings. Those who underestimated humans, and those who were about to stop. 8 seconds, Elias Cade murmured, almost conversational, as if discussing coffee brew time. In those 8 seconds, the Galactic Empire's finest engineers discovered the true horror of human curiosity. The Obsidian Crown, once a symbol of invincibility, was now a glorified disco ball, glitching under human-made pranks. "Impossible!" barked Admiral Vorth, his mandibles twitching violently. "Purge their code." Technicians scrambled like ants on a sinking ship. Data streams bled out of consoles, replaced by obnoxious human gifs, dancing cats, sarcastic slogans, and looping animations of a human casually flipping a switch labeled OFF. Elias stood at the center, untouched, watching the organized panic with a small, polite smile. He didn't need weapons. His species had already fired theirs, years ago, in the form of curiosity, patience, and backdoor exploits. One of the Empire's top slicers, a gelatinous mass of neural fibers known as Sinvor, floated over in a desperate rush. "Human, how did you do this? Our encryption is layered across 17 dimensions." Elias took a thoughtful sip of his coffee. 17, huh? We cracked 20 by accident while trying to stream cat videos faster. Sinvor deflated. On the main holo display, a countdown began, but not for the Empire's benefit. The screen now read, Humanity's Lesson Plan, Chapter 1, You're Not as Smart as You Think. The irony was sharp. The Obsidian Crown, designed to erase worlds, was now broadcasting its own irrelevance to the entire Empire. Ambassador Cade, Admiral Vorth hissed, stalking forward. This is an act of war. War. Elias echoed. No, Admiral. War would require us to see you as equals. This is pest control. Very polite pest control, mind you. A subtle shift occurred in the room. The aliens, once smug, now stood uncertain. The humans had sprung no obvious traps, launched no fleets, fired no weapons, and yet, the Empire's mightiest asset was collapsing. Elias's earpiece chimed. Glitch's voice came through, lazy and amused. Boss, their fleet comms are Swiss cheese. Want me to start the meme blitz? Elias replied without moving his lips. Cue it. Just the intro. Seconds later, the Empire's entire fleet communications were overridden. Ships thousands of light-years away received an Earth-origin broadcast. A human child's voice, innocent and mocking. If you're hearing this, it's too late. You've been out-humaned. The panic in the war hall intensified. The once unified fleet captains, generals, and ministers flooded the hollow channels, shouting over each other, demanding answers. No answers came. Only more Earth memes. The Empire was fracturing, not from firepower, but from information warfare. Humans had weaponized culture itself. Admiral Vorth lunged towards Elias, but his path was blocked by the Wise One, an ancient alien elder, silent until now. You fool, the Wise One muttered, eyes fixed on Elias. They are not invaders. They are corruptors. They plant seeds of chaos, and wait. Always smiling. Always underestimated. Elias gave the Wise One a respectful nod. Finally, someone reads the fine print. Vorth snarled, ignoring the warning. Your species will be eradicated for this treachery. Elias raised a brow. Treachery? Admiral, you pointed a planet killer at us. We just unplugged it. No hard feelings. A sudden hiss cut through the chaos. A large view screen shifted to an external visual, the Obsidian Crown, now flashing a garish neon sign across its hull. Property of Earth's Tech Support Division. You're welcome. The room froze. Elias stepped forward, voice calm but edged with steel. Let me paint a picture for you, Admiral. For 500 years, you've poured your pride into a monument of fear. Meanwhile, we humans did what we do best. Watched, learned, poked around where we weren't invited. No alarms went off because, to you, we're insignificant. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. But the thing about insignificant species, Admiral, we don't announce invasions. We simply make ourselves at home. Sinvor floated back, visibly trembling. How long have you been inside our systems? Elias smiled. Define inside. You bought half your processors from Earth vendors. Your training simulators use human-developed algorithms. Honestly, we weren't sure when we stopped hacking and started owning. The aliens looked at each other, horror dawning. Admiral Vorth's composure cracked. End this farce, human. Return control of the Obsidian Crown, and perhaps we'll show mercy. Elias's response was a soft chuckle. Mercy? Admiral, you still think you're in charge here. You're not. You're participants in a case study. A galactic lesson in overconfidence. Vorth reached for a command console. It didn't respond. A new message appeared. Error 404. Empire not found. Elias continued, tone razor-sharp beneath his friendly mask. "We're not conquerors, Admiral. Conquering is messy, inefficient. We prefer influence. Control without the fuss of ruling. Subtle. Permanent." The wise one, voice grave, addressed the assembly. "You were warned. Humans are apex tacticians cloaked in smiles. They do not overpower. They dismantle." The room's energy shifted. Some aliens began backing away, realizing the depth of the trap. Others looked at Elias as if seeing him for the first time. Elias took a breath, as if about to deliver a casual afterthought. Instead, his words detonated across the hall. "You spent 500 years building a weapon to intimidate the galaxy. We spent 8 seconds turning it into a billboard." He let the silence linger. "Now imagine," he added softly, "what we can do in 10. The Empire's leadership understood. For the first time in centuries, they understood they had lost, not to brute force, but to human subtlety. Elias glanced at his watch, not because of the time, but as a signal. "Glitch," he said. "Q Chapter 2. In distant systems, rebellion sparked. Suppressed species, long beaten into submission, received encrypted messages, diagrams, strategies, all courtesy of Earth. The Obsidian Crown was the first domino." Admiral Vorth slumped, defeated. "What do you want?" Elias smiled gently, as if offering a friend a second chance. "Nothing much. A conversation. Over coffee. Maybe a donut or two. But first, you're going to tell the galaxy the truth. The Empire is obsolete. Evolution just rang the doorbell, and humans answered." As he turned to leave, the room watched in stunned silence. No gods dared stop him. No weapon dared fire. Elias paused at the exit. "Next time," he said, "build something original. Copying Death Stars? Bit cliché." The doors slid shut behind him. The Obsidian Crown drifted powerless, its sleek black hull now a floating monument to failure. In the Empire's war hall, the echoes of human sabotage still lingered, but Elias Cade had already moved on. He wasn't here to bask in victory. Humans didn't parade their wins. They leveraged them. In a smaller private chamber, once reserved for Imperial war councils, Elias sat across from Admiral Vorth. The alien's posture was rigid, but the bravado had crumbled. His empire had never faced an enemy it couldn't intimidate. Today, they weren't even sure if humanity could be classified as an enemy in conventional terms. "You don't want the Empire's throne," Vorth said, voice low. "You don't want tribute. What is it you seek?" Elias leaned back, lacing his fingers casually. "Perception." Vorth's mandibles clicked in confusion. "Perception?" "Correct. You see, Admiral, for 500 years, the galaxy's been taught a lie, that strength is measured in ships, weapons, and parades." Elias smiled, but it was sharp now, calculated. Humans prefer subtler metrics: influence, adaptability, and patience. Today was a correction. The chamber's holoprojector activated without permission. A map of the Galactic Empire's territories appeared, overlaid with spreading red data points. "Do you know what these are?" Elias asked, feigning curiosity. Vorth didn't answer. "Those," Elias continued, "are autonomous human cells. Technically civilians. Engineers, teachers, entertainers. You invited them into your systems over decades. We didn't need to infiltrate. You downloaded us willingly." Vorth's gaze darkened. "You've turned our worlds into yours?" Elias chuckled. "Not ours, Admiral. Yours. Just better managed." Outside the chamber, Glitch was orchestrating the quiet collapse of a galactic superpower from a simple laptop. He hummed as he directed rebel factions, disabling Imperial logistics in ways no laser could achieve. "Commander," a young alien officer stammered, bursting into the council room. "We're receiving demands from multiple sectors. They're calling for democratic governance." Vorth recoiled as if struck. Democracy was an Earth concept, unclean, chaotic, and, until today, irrelevant to an empire built on dominion. Elias gave a small, sympathetic nod. "It's messy, I admit. But humans have a knack for turning chaos into productivity. You've seen our internet." The officer glanced nervously between Vorth and Elias, unsure where authority resided anymore. Vorth's tone sharpened. "You orchestrated this uprising?" Elias's smile thinned. "We didn't need to. We just offered inspiration. Suppressed minds only need a spark. You handed us the match when you built a planet killer and aimed it at Earth." The hollow projector shifted. Footage of alien uprisings played, peaceful sit-ins, data leaks, cultural revolutions, all seeded with human influence. The Obsidian Crown's failure was the catalyst, but the groundwork had been laid through years of patient infiltration masked as diplomacy. "You don't fight wars like anyone else," Vorth muttered. "That's the point," Elias said simply. "You train for brute force. We trained for scenario chess." For the first time, Vorth understood. The Obsidian Crown was never the true target. The real prize was the Empire's myth of invincibility. And that had been shattered. Vorth slumped into his seat. "You're dismantling a 1,000-year empire without firing a shot. Efficiency is a virtue, Admiral." The Wise One, silent until now, floated into the room. His presence carried weight, but his tone was almost resigned. "The apex predators never hunt with claws. They trap their prey in illusions." Elias smiled. "I like this one, Vorth. He gets it." Vorth's gaze turned bitter. "You've made enemies across the stars, human." Elias's expression hardened, just for a second. "We're fine with enemies, Admiral. Keeps us sharp. But we're selective about the kind of enemies we allow to survive." The implication was subtle but landed with crushing force. Before Vorth could reply, the hollow projector lit up with a direct transmission. The Empire's Outer Rim governors were publicly renouncing imperial rule, pledging allegiance to the Galactic Cooperative Initiative, a name clearly human-influenced, down to the corporate-like blandness. Elias didn't even glance at the screen. He already knew the sequence. Earth's real strength wasn't in ships or soldiers. It was in narratives. Give the galaxy a better story than fear, and the Empire's hold crumbled on its own. "You'll cause chaos," Vorth spat. Elias nodded, amused. "Probably. Humans are messy. But we prefer chaos we can work with over order that stifles innovation. You'll adapt, or you'll fade." Vorth knew he had no cards left. The Empire's weapons were obsolete, its systems compromised, its people inspired by an unexpected species that smiled too much and talked too casually about domination. "What happens now?" Vorth asked, defeated. Elias stood, straightened his cuffs. "Now, you join us for Earth's Intergalactic Pizza Summit. We're serving pineapple, of course. Consider it a diplomatic stress test." Vorth flinched, but the Wise One chuckled. "A dangerous sound." Elias leaned in, voice dropping just enough to carry weight. "You thought we came to win a war, Admiral. We came to rewrite the rules. And you're going to help us sell the new manual." As Elias exited, Glitch patched through another layer of data seizures. By the time Elias reached the main hangar, the Galactic Empire was no longer a singular entity. It was fragmented, decentralized, and, most importantly, rebranded. The Obsidian Crown remained adrift, powerless. A fitting metaphor for the Empire's ambitions. Outside, a crowd of alien diplomats waited for Elias. Some were curious. Others were terrified. A few, dangerously impressed. Ambassador Cade, a reptilian envoy, hissed, "What exactly is Earth's ultimate goal in this transition?" Elias smiled warmly. Nothing much. We just like fixing things that are inefficient. It's a hobby. The envoy shivered. The hangar's massive doors opened, revealing a human transport ship, unassuming, outdated by galactic standards, yet now the most feared vessel in Imperial space. As Elias boarded, he paused, looking back at the gathered dignitaries. "Tell your people," he said, "humanity isn't interested in thrones. Thrones are boring. But supply chains, now that's exciting." With that, the doors closed. In his seat, Glitch was still chewing gum, scrolling through a database of galactic markets now under human algorithmic control. "Boss," Glitch said, "we're getting a lot of offers for trade partnerships. Should we be nice?" Elias grinned. "Oh, absolutely. But make sure they never forget who holds the off switch." As the ship lifted off, Earth's influence wasn't just rising, it was already embedded. The Galactic Empire had spent centuries preparing for a war of lasers and fleets. They lost to a species that fought with smiles, spreadsheets, and memes. The ripple wasn't felt, it was noticed. 1,000 star systems blinking awake, not to the thunder of warships, but to the unsettling realization that Earth had pulled the rug out from under the Galactic Empire without firing a single missile. In the vacuum of power, new voices surged. Species once crushed under Imperial rule now found their comms flooded with human phrases like open-source governance and viral decentralization kits. Elias Cade sat in the command lounge of his modest Earth vessel, sipping coffee like a man who had just flipped the universe's game board and was waiting for someone to notice. "They're scrambling, boss," Glitch said, feet kicked up on a console, gum popping between his words. "Whole sectors are trying to rebrand as independent to avoid looking like Empire loyalists. Kinda cute." Elias didn't look up. "Send them the starter pack. Let them believe they're choosing this." "What about the core worlds? Vortha's not gonna go quietly." Elias smiled. "He already did. He just doesn't know it yet." At that moment, a hollow call chimed. It wasn't Vorth. It was the Council of Nine, the shadow rulers of the galaxy who, until this morning, believed themselves untouchable. Their visages filled the room, flickering figures of every shape and form, yet their faces shared the same expression, controlled panic. "Cade," the eldest hissed, "your species has overstepped." Elias set his coffee down carefully. "Counselor, humanity doesn't overstep. We sidestep." "You left the door open." A gelatinous member oozed forward. "You dismantled a galactic superweapon in 8 seconds, and now you cripple infrastructure across thousands of worlds. What's your endgame?" Elias leaned in, expression genuine yet terrifying. "Evolution." The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was suffocating. "You built an empire on obedience. We're offering the galaxy a different model, adapt or become irrelevant." The council didn't like choices when both options felt like surrender. Another member growled, "The galaxy will descend into chaos." Elias's eyes gleamed. "We thrive in chaos. You fear it. Guess who wins long term?" The council link severed abruptly. Glitch snorted. That went well. Outside, the obsidian crown floated, harmless, hacked, and now rebroadcasting Earth's Galactic Cooperative Initiative manifesto to the entire Empire. It wasn't loud, but it was effective. Vorth, now stripped of command, watched the broadcasts from his quarters. His empire had been untouchable. Until humans arrived. The door chimed. Vorth expected more bad news. Instead, Elias Cade walked in. No guards, no entourage, just a polite smile that had brought down an empire. "You came to gloat?" Vorth spat. Elias shook his head. "No, Admiral. I came for closure. For both of us." Vortha's mandibles clicked. "You've humiliated the Empire." "I didn't humiliate you," Elias said, sitting opposite him. "I exposed the cracks you ignored." We just happened to fill the void faster. Vortha's claws curled into fists. You don't understand what you've unleashed. Without the Empire, the galaxy will burn. Elias's tone hardened. Better it burns on its own terms than lives under manufactured stability. Vortha's fury waned. He saw it now. The truth was never about power. It was about control of perception. And humans had flipped that control effortlessly. You're not conquerors, Vorth said finally. You're gardeners. You prune ecosystems until they serve your needs. Elias smiled softly. Exactly. And right now, your garden was full of weeds. Glitch's voice pinged in Elias's ear. Boss, the Galactic Exchange just defaulted to Earth's credits as a stabilizer. Didn't even push for it. They begged. Elias stood. The job was done. Not with battles, but with inevitability. As he exited Vortha's quarters, a convoy of alien dignitaries awaited him. Species once silenced, now eager for partnership discussions. They weren't ready to call Earth their rulers, but they understood the new ecosystem had humans at the top. Ambassador Cade, a lizard-like diplomat, began cautiously, "How does Earth plan to maintain order?" Elias's grin was polite, but the edge was diamond-sharp. "We don't. Order's overrated. We just like being the ones who define the chaos." The convoy exchanged uneasy glances. That was the terrifying part. Humans weren't interested in governing. They were interested in engineering systems that governed themselves, but were quietly influenced by Earth's unseen hand. In every communication network, financial ledger, supply chain, there was now a human backdoor, invisible, subtle, patient. Elias boarded his transport. Glitch looked up from his console, grinning. "So, boss, what's next?" "They'll adapt eventually." Elias chuckled. "Of course. But humans don't dominate by staying ahead. We dominate by moving sideways when they chase shadows." Glitch leaned back. "You ever think we're the bad guys?" Elias's gaze softened. "Maybe. But we're the bad guys who learned how to smile while fixing what others broke." The ship powered up, drifting away from the shattered monument of the obsidian crown. As the stars stretched, Glitch projected a list of requests from alien factions: trade agreements, cultural exchanges, education programs. They were lining up to invite Earth's assistance. Humans wouldn't need to raise another weapon. Influence had replaced invasion. "Prepare Earth's delegation," Elias said. "Let's start with the entertainment industry. You'd be surprised how fast sitcoms destabilize an oligarchy." Glitch laughed. Weaponized humor. Classic Earth. Outside, the galaxy spun obliviously, still processing the aftermath. But deep within its shifting structure, Earth's fingerprints were now woven into every algorithm, every trade route, every alliance. Elias Cade sat back, watching it all unfold. The Empire had spent 500 years building a weapon to enforce order. Humanity had needed just 8 seconds to remind them who truly controls the future. And they did it with a smile.